Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
Recording?
Yep.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is your faithful friend and compatriots, the Geeky Gentleman, and we are doing a show. Say hello, Ian.
Hello.
We're doing...
Wait. Hello, Ian. Okay, now we're good. Go ahead.
There we go. Today we are reviewing Trade 1 and Trade 2, Volume 1 and Volume 2 of Grant Morrison's 7 Soldiers of Victory. Holy shit.
Yay.
Yay! This shit be crack-a-lackin', bro.
We're reviewing both volumes.
Yeah, that's what I said.
You said Trade 1, Volume 2.
No, Trade 1 and 2.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, motherfucker. So, can you start?
No. I don't know where to start, because it's Grant Morrison, and it's there is no start, there is no end, there is no middle. It's just one cohesive piece that can never be truly obtained. Grant Morrison's writing is a sphere. There's no origin point.
That is the perfect way of describing this fucking story. Essentially, the 7 Soldiers of Victory is a series of 7 miniseries that all interlock into one overarching... You know what, I'll read the fucking introduction by the man himself. 1 second.
The whole... how long is it? Because that sounds like it'll be really boring.
Introduction... At least he describes it. Introduction by Grant Morrison. The 7 Soldiers of Victory. The concept grew out of a desire. The concept grew out of a desire to recreate and update some of the brilliant but often overlooked minor characters from the DC universe. After tackling just about all the major players at both DC and Marvel, I felt I needed to a tougher challenge, and I want.
Okay, no, this is terrible.
Yeah, what's up? Yeah.
Okay, anyway. So yeah, this is something that is just so strange because, I mean, the whole premise is, let's write a team book, but none of the members realize they're on a team.
I know.
And it's so that 6 degrees of separation but with superheroes, you know? And it's just fascinating. All these little things connect in the most tangential ways, but they become this gigantic parts of the rest of the book, and it all leads up to something, and I'm not sure what. I wasn't quite sure who the enemy was in this. It seems like it's supposed to be the whole, evil people from the future that are harvesting the past. But then Darkseid shows up with Mr. Miracle, and I'm wondering if it's supposed to be I don't know what to call it, maybe a prototype for Final Crisis at certain points?
Pretty much, yeah, that's it. Essentially, these fairies from the future that come back and harvest the past, essentially, yeah, they're fairy folk. And Grant Morrison recreates the mythology of his homeland into something truly terrifying, because for all those who do not know, fairies in traditional folklore are fucking evil bastards. Jesus Christ. And he just kind of presents them as this horrible, corrupting force that just corrupts time and space itself. and they kind of infect every level of a thing. And essentially, this whole team book has to do with Zatanna.
I loved the writing of Zatanna in this. She was by far my favorite chapters.
I know, right? It's just like, it's so weird.
I will say this one thing, though. I was very, very disappointed by this. If you're going to put Zatanna and Mr. Miracle on the same team, it's an insult that they don't have at least one scene together. Right?
I know.
But if you think about it, it's like the two, like, performance magicians, if you will, even though Mr. Miracle's an escape artist, but they're very similar things.
Uh-huh.
Those two should totally be doing an act together. That would be so fucking cool.
I know. But essentially, I don't know where to fucking start. Like, from which character should we begin? I mean, essentially, you have 7 characters that never meet. Well, they do eventually meet, kinda, at the end. To fight.
No, not really.
Not really, yeah. In spirit, they don't even meet. Fuck, they never meet. They save the world and they have no idea of each other. What the? This man is a fucking genius. Jesus Christ.
Right? The only people that, like, connect these guys are the villains, right?
I know, yeah, the villains and these minor fucking little, weird, like, little third ways of separation, like one character...
No, 6 degrees of separation is what it's called.
Yeah, that's it. But the fuck...
Like, to explain the theory to people that don't know it, though, okay, you, the listener, through the theory of 6 degrees of separation, have a connection to Charlie Sheen. And let me explain why. So, there's you who is listening to me as a podcaster. Alright, so there's 1 degree of separation. There's my friend Bobby. So there's 2 degrees of separation, who I know. Bobby is my friend. There's Bobby's grandparents. There's 3rd degree, who live next door via backyard to the grandparents. There's 4 degrees of separation of one Bree Olson. There's 5 degrees of separation. And Bree Olson was famous for having been Charlie Sheen's personal whore. So 6 degrees of separation. It's really interesting dynamic there. Through 6 degrees of separation, you, the listener, and Milan also know Charlie Sheen. So there's 6 degrees of separation. It's like the people you know or things that you've interacted with leading back to another person who you would assume you have no connection to whatsoever. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's just... And to make a team book of superheroes is really fascinating. Based on 6 degrees of separation, basically. And just to say, it doesn't always have to be 6 degrees.
Of course not.
There can be more. But it says the minimum you need is wait, no, usually it's the most you need is 6 degrees, I think. But anyway.
Yeah. The fucking Phantom Stranger gets groceries at one point. That's amazing. And essentially it follows Clarion the Witch Boy. He's kind of a... I love Clarion in this. It's like, he's not a little... Well, he's a little dick, but he's a mischievous guy. He's a mischievous kid looking to rebel against the hoity-toity religious higher-ups of his small underground witch society.
Interesting, because, like, I guess my question is, since I'm not a big Golden Age comic fan or anything, is this his first, like, introduction to the DC Universe since the Golden Age?
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
Or Golden or Silver Age, I guess. Is this, like, his first modern take in the DC Universe? Because he was really popular in Young Justice, and I think, wasn't he in Batman Brave and the Bold, too?
Oh, yeah, definitely. He's essentially the bad guy of the demon, Etrigan.
Yeah, he was in... I know he was in Young Justice. I didn't know if he was in Brave and the Bold. He's become a really popular character lately. It's weird because Bruce Timm and team seem to latch on to, like, these really random-ass characters from different universes. Like, who is... Ken Jarreau has popped up in 3 DC animated universe, different DC animated properties.
Who the fuck is Ken Jarreau?
He's like that bug-eyed villain. You remember that episode?
Oh, yeah,
that Green Lantern episode of Justice League where, like, the moon... Jon Stewart thought, like, he blew up a planet by accident?
Mm-hmm.
Ken Jarreau was in that. And then in Green Lantern First Flight, Ken Jarreau is there. And then he's in something else. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's like, I guess Bruce Timm just really likes Ken Jarreau. And he's not like an important, huge character in the Green Lantern universe or anything. He just always shows up in Bruce Timm stuff for some reason.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. But I guess everyone has their own special little character. The thing that...
Yeah, it's weird that this kid has been popping up in so much. And this is the first time I've actually ever seen him in a comic book. For me, at least. And, you know, this came out in, 03, 04 or so.
Oh, definitely.
Spheres of influence. You know who he reminds me of, talking about Justice League, though, is that, the little sorcerer kid that was, like, the son of the lady with the geisha mask. Hello? Okay, Milan is dead. I don't know what to do. I think Milan has just murdered... Oh, wait. Milan's alive, everyone! Hooray!
I'm alive. For a brief moment there, I was transported to another universe, and I kind of saved the multiverse. I know it's been, like, only a couple of seconds, but for me, it's literally been, like, 6 months. I'm all covered in scars and shit. But anyway, let's get on with the review. This character...
No, like, did you notice that, though? Like, he does kind of remind me of that sorcerer kid from Justice League.
Well, yeah, I guess so, but he's a little bratty sorcerer kid. It's just like there's no purchase point. There's Mr. Miracle, Frankenstein, the Guardian, who is a black man who shot a kid. And he works for a newspaper that is also kind of a superhero thing. There's a knight that's been thrown back in time by the Shida. This kind of...
Forward in time.
Yeah, the Shining Knight, who is this, like, boy... And,
no, it's a girl.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Wait. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's a girl. I forget. It's a fucking girl. It's a trans...
It's Justine, or I think her name's Justine.
Yeah, a transgender character. Awesome.
Not really. Just it's that classic girl pretends to be boy thing.
Okay. Fucking...
In order to be knight.
You got fucking Bullet Girl. And
that was probably my favorite story. Like, I was on Twitter as I was reading hers. I really like the Zatanna and the Bulleteer stuff. As I was reading her stories, there was just like a lot of stuff in that just was very like we always hear these conversations of people like right now the big thing, the big controversy in comic books is the Batgirl cover, right?
Oh yeah.
And have your own opinions on it. I don't care. Not that I don't care about the cover. I don't care what your opinions are, which sounds worse now that I think. Anyway, sorry, people. No, like there's a whole controversy about everything every so often, and when you think about it, if you were to do a more realistic world that just happened to have superheroes in it, there would be some really messed up shit. And, the Bulleteer story is a really good example of that. When you've got a world that's just full of superheroes to the point where people like Booster Gold come back in time just to try to get famous and rich from being a superhero, you're gonna have some, like, fucking superhero porn.
Well, fuck yeah.
And it's really creepy and weird, but it makes perfect sense.
I know it does, because it's like, if this shit keeps happening, if people keep falling into radioactive waste and they keep finding this weird mythical rings and whatever, not all of them are gonna be like, holy shit, I'll fight crime. No, I'll suck a dick and get paid for wearing a costume while having a gimmick. It's all gimmicks. And it's like superhero gimmicks, but with dicks and ass and pussy and whatever. And it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like, the superhero porn thing was really weird. Like, not weird, but you know what I mean. It was really creepy. But also with the Bulleteer story, they had a lot going with that. With like they talked about how when they first go to the hospital with her, like, first in her first issue, I think they talk about how hospitals are constantly just full of people that keep trying to give themselves superpowers, and doctors just hate those fuckers. Like, people just throw themselves into radiation and all kinds of shit just trying to get superpowers. And, like, hospitals are apparently just full of people like that. And, like, yeah, that would be a thing.
Yeah.
That would totally happen if superheroes were a real thing. Which is crazy.
You know, Fate would just be a dick. Just like if you're intentionally wanting to get it, like Fate, you know, Neil Gaiman's Fate, just the big guy in the cloak and the giant book. He just go like, no, fuck you. You're not getting superpowers. Fucking cancer, bitch. Just like, fuck you. You want to get fucking jumping in a fucking tub of acid? Fuck you. No, cancer. But it's
I mean. This all seems like fairly peripheral stuff, but that's what Grant Morrison is really good at, is just universing. Like, not even universe building, just universing. Just creating entire universes in an instant. Like, what occurred to me while I was reading this, on this point, I guess, is just that, you know, most superhero comics we read, X-Men are a particularly good example of this. When you're reading their single issues, you're really only meant to, unless they specifically bring something up, you're really only meant to be reading it as if these are the only superheroes in this universe right now.
I suppose so.
Like, they might mention bigger events where other superheroes are the thing or whatever, but for the most part, when you're reading like a Batman comic, Batman's the only superhero. Unless they specifically bring up, you know, maybe Superman. Unless it's a Justice League story or something where they bring up another character, more or less you're supposed to read every Batman comic as if Batman's the only superhero. And I think that goes for just about anything, but then you get the team books, and that means that this is all going on at the same time, so you gotta realize how big this universe is, and it's hard to do that with just, you know, giant crises where we get splash pages with every character in the DC universe showing up to help. So like that gives you a taste of how big it is, but it doesn't really show you the scale. It's more of just a gimmick when we get that kind of shit in like Infinite Crisis. So to actually see how deep and complex and how this world has its own issues because of the fact that there are, you know, thousands of superheroes, yeah, that's really interesting.
That's the thing I really miss about the old 52. It's just like, it was just such amazing fucking world building. Like, this is the type of shit that was in the corner. You had Batman, you had Superman, you had like all the big guys, but you also had this shit, the stuff in the middle, the stuff that fell between the cracks of these huge monoliths. Like, what would, like, coalesce in the bottom, like, in the gutters of this amazing world? It would be this weird, crazy, sad, pathetic, but at the same time, just monumental, magical realism. This fucking beauty, this weird fucking shit that was just so, like, in certain ways, even more fascinating and engaging than the big title superhero shit. Not to say I'm, you know, talking shit about the big guys, but fuck, this is some real great shit. This fucking underground New York has an infestation of homeless pirates that drive around on stolen subway carts, fucking mugging and
disappear into hidden tunnels, and interact with subterranean cultures living beneath New York for centuries.
I know. That's fucking... They have giant fucking alligators and shit. There's fucking magicians and, like, fucking black people, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy how complex and how interesting this all is. Like, when you just get down to the crazy details of the universe. And, like, it's in one of my older videos, where I talked about this, and I think I brought it up when we talked about Grant Morrison a couple weeks back. But one of the things I love about Grant Morrison is I have the feeling that he has all of this in his head, and he gives the readers so much credit to just pick it up on their own. I was reading one of his Justice League books, and there's an issue in that where, like, all the Justice League members are, like, in some kind of dream, like coma-like dream state. and they think they're in another universe. You know, that whole kind of thing.
Yeah.
They think they're still living their lives or whatever. And you don't know that until you get to the scene with like a black version of Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor in the Amazon, like going through a temple, Indiana Jones style, fighting Nazis. And you're like, whoa, this is really interesting. And Wonder Woman says something about, oh, we have to get this object in order to save the universe, blah, blah, blah. Steve, take my hand. And then all of a sudden it cuts out and you're like watching her dream, and you're watching Wonder Woman sleeping there dreaming that. And you realize there's a whole fucking story that led up to that one scene. He didn't just make up that one scene. There's totally a Wonder Woman story in that. And he wrote the whole thing without writing out everything else. He just wrote the whole story in his head to get that scene and then left it there.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating. And that kind of writing talent is all over this. Like, anyone can just write a scene, I think. But to write a completely believable scene that seems like it's right out of a story, it feels like he pulled that from another comic. It feels like you're reading the comic and suddenly like there was a printing error and a page from another comic is there, but it fits perfectly in with everything else that's going on, given that context. And Morrison's just amazing at that shit.
Yeah, it's like this subtle fucking world-building detail that's just like, you know what, I don't have to, like, people think that the viewing audience or the reading audience are a bunch of fucking idiots. He's like, no, they're not idiots. Just, the thing is, if you set a mood and set a world and just throw people into a world that doesn't need to be, he doesn't hold your hand. He just throws you in and just goes like, here's some action, and here's some fucking world building. Just take it and run, bitch. Take it and run.
Yeah, I agree. Grant Morrison gives, like, in this day and age where we talk about, movies not giving audiences credit and, just entertainment taking, like, assuming that audiences are going to be stupid, I can't blame studios and stuff for doing that, because when you get a genius writer like Grant Morrison, people don't get it. Like, I hear a lot of people, like the guy at the comic shop that I go to, he's a cool dude, I love him and everything, he got me into Green Lantern, but he doesn't like to talk about Grant Morrison because, sure, he gets what's going on in the comics, but he doesn't like that he has to explain it to other people. Like, he hates Final Crisis because he had to spend so much time explaining it to everyone that walked in. And I guess I can understand that. I don't think I'd want to have to explain Grant Morrison all the time, but the fact that people constantly need it explained to them, it is problematic for people, not for Morrison. It doesn't make him any less talented a writer, but people try to hold that against him.
He just doesn't give a shit. It's like, hey, you are going to enjoy this or not, but either way, you're going to get your dick sucked.
Okay.
Metaphorically speaking, of course. But I'm like, dude.
Aww.
Dude, baby, it's okay. I'll tend to you later. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, watch out, Haley. I'm coming for you, man. But anyway, that was too gay. I'm sorry. But it's just like, fucking Frankenstein is in this. I love this rendition of Frankenstein. It was so good. They actually, I wish they just carried on with this. I wish this never had to fucking end. Because, like, Frankenstein, Frankenstein got his own series, like, Agent of Shade and all that stuff. And, like, Agent of Shade is fun. It's essentially DC's Hellboy. But I just love how instant...
Oh, is that what the premise of that book was? Interesting.
Essentially, yeah. It's just fucking... think Universal Monsters, but fucking steampunk badass with Ray Palmer. And just think S.H.I.E.L.D., but Hellboy and awesome. But it's just like, I loved his first introduction as he's like on Mars and he's riding on this giant fucking insect thing and he just goes through the fucking, ruins of Mars. I love Mars. Like, just the DC version of Mars, this desolated landscape of like dead souls and shit, and it's so amazing. And this dude is I'm jumping all around, but that's what Grant Morrison does best.
like this fucking dude with this hot ass fucking wife who wants to be a fucking superhero is making this synthetic robotics like metal skin to become superheroes.
I love the design of her too. Like whatever the artist did with her looked fantastic.
Oh, she was,
because her skin so easily could have just looked like, you know, fucking he just colored her in with a gray pencil or something, but she really looks metallic. It's brilliant.
It looks fucking,
like,
and she is fucking drop dead gorgeous. I mean, god damn that ass. And them titties, dude. Oh, I was staring at them titties, dog. I love that song. But it's just like, essentially, he wanted her and him to become superheroes just so he could meet this fucking one super-powered porn star on the internet that he's been talking to. And he's like...
and that was an interesting thing, what they did with that character, too. Like, the idea of a superhero... Like, that's your super ex-girlfriend movie right there. You know, superhero stalker? That's creepy, right?
It is, like... The thing is, this is Joker issue. That's come out recently. It ties in with the whole Endgame story arc.
No, don't tell me. It
has nothing to do with the story. It's just a one-off annual type of a thing. But essentially, it's Joker, and like this one war correspondent just talks shit about him. He's like, fucking Joker? He's a fucking clown. What? You people fucking sit around mythologizing this fucking whack job. He's just another fucking lunatic. And everyone's like, oh shit, dude, shut the fuck up. And like, he finds the Joker really quite easily. He's like, do I really need a tip for this? It's in this hokey fucking lair and whatever. And he's just like, he just essentially cusses out the Joker to his fucking face. Like, you're just a lonely motherfucker. You're just a sad, lonely fucker. And the Joker's like, okay, that's true. And then Batman comes in and Robin, and it's just like, he breaks it up and the guy walks away. A year later, the Joker finds him. And he's like, hey. And he kills he just destroys this man's fucking life year after year. And just like, there's a Goosebumps story. Like, it's just essentially, what if a fucking supervillain came after you? Like, you're not a superhero, you're just a random fucking Joe Schmo, blue-collar motherfucker. And it's just like, fucking the Joker's after you. He's like, I'm gonna get you, bitch. You're not Batman. I'm gonna get you. And I'm actually turning that into a motion comic because it's just such a good little story. It's creepy.
Okay.
It's creepy as fuck. But
but just the idea of a superhero stalker, just like someone that's obsessed with you and has the means to do like really fucked up shit is terrifying. And it's not like she's a villain. She's like, goddamn, her origin with the fucking dead teddy bear king. I was like, what the fuck? This is sad.
I know, right? It's just like...
Everyone has to die, even the teddy bear king. Like, oh my god, that's the saddest thing I've ever read in my entire life. And I was happy that it was sad because, you know, we need sad things in our entertainment. I've gotten really tired of this whole happy ending culture we've become obsessed with.
Dude, watch fucking Game of Thrones. It's just like...
I do watch Game of Thrones.
Then what's your problem, bitch? It's just like everyone dies horribly. Like,
I know. That's why I watch that show. It's a great show. I'm just saying, like, every other movie now ends with, like, people, you know, oh, it's all happy ending, everything's going to be okay, because apparently we can't accept consequences anymore, and death isn't a thing.
Dude.
You know, but anyway, like, just that, her whole origin is fantastic. Her whole life is nothing but, you know what, sometimes superpowers aren't great. Sometimes it could really fuck your life. You know, if you got superpowers when you're young and you looked young forever, you cannot live an adult life. Shit's gonna go wrong for you. And this is a criticism of the artist. Like, I was just praising the artist, but actually, let me take that back. I was praising the colorist, because I'm almost sure they're a different person, because one is incredibly talented, and the other not so much. The script clearly indicates that Sally Sonic, or whatever her name is supposed to look like 13 to 14 years old. At best, 13 to 14 years old. And she looks clearly like a 20, 30-year-old, right? 18 to 20-year-old, something like that. Yeah. Like every other woman in comics does. Like, I was, you know, the whole point was it was supposed to be weird that she was, like, you know, a porn star. And she was supposed to be, like, in her 30s or 40s. but she still looks 14, and they should have made her look 14. And made the whole porn thing even creepier.
Yeah, but it's DC Comics.
Who the fuck's that?
It's fucking Harley Quinn. But it's
I know it's Harley Quinn. Who the fuck's the guy?
I don't know, Mickey, shut up. But essentially, well, fuck you, nigga. Bitch. Motherfucker. Nick, I'm recording. Fuck off. Yeah. Go hang the fucking phone up, motherfucker. But yeah, it's like, I think Grant Morrison wanted to do the whole, like, weird pedo thing. Not that he's a pedo, but just, like, the whole weird thing.
Yeah. I mean, like, clearly the script implies that she does not look like a day over 13.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's just like, if you do that and you imply, like, if you don't make her look at least 18, the censors are just gonna go fucking nuts, you know?
No, but that's the thing, is, like, that's the whole point, is it's supposed to be...
What? Hold on 1 second.
You're saying something about school?
Your mic.
The drawing?
No, I mean, I get that, like, you know, you don't want a sexualized 13-year-old out there, but the thing is, she's not 13. She's just supposed to look that way, and the whole point is, it is supposed to be creepy and weird. That's the whole point of her character, is that people are attracted to her, but she's, like, 13. And just some of the lines she has, like, oh, men love it when you say the word or whatever to change into the costume. Or I would have always dressed up for him. Just things like that are so sexual and in a really disturbing way in nature would have been even better, would have read even better if the art matched. And it's comic books. The art, like, is the thing that it has an advantage of over all other written medium. You know, you cannot read a novel and see your characters, for the most part. When you're reading a graphic novel, when you're reading a comic book, and a character says something, and you can highlight that by showing an artistic representation of that character that just comes off the page, it's a very big deal, and they need to match, otherwise it starts to diminish. To kind of expand on that, to go to a wider point about comics as a whole, when I've said this a million times, it doesn't matter how good your story is, because, alright, let me back up just a tiny bit. Something I hear a lot is people go, yeah, sure, the art's great, but the story sucks. And sometimes I'll hear people go, oh, this is a great story, but I'll look at the art and go, I don't care. And this isn't only for comic books. Unfortunately, the only two examples I can think of, one's a comic book, one isn't. I really enjoyed the storytelling in Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes, but I cannot get over the fact that it's so fucking distracting that they're clearly using the same animation style as Kim Possible. Some of the characters look like twins. Like the Lady Hydra. Shut up. The Lady Hydra character looks exactly like She-Go from Kim Possible. I don't care what anyone says. She's got slightly lighter green skin. So that you know, that bothers me. And then you look at something like the early run of Dark Knight, the comic book by David Finch, and the art was fucking amazing, but the story was a complete fucking train wreck. And so with comics, it doesn't matter how good your story is. If your art sucks, the book sucks. And if it doesn't matter how good your art is, if the story sucks, the book sucks.
I know,
so
David Finch
like,
just needs a good writer. For fuck's sake.
Yeah. So what you need a blending of those two. And for the most part, this book has it. But when one character who is clearly supposed to look 13 to 14 years old, to add to the creepiness of everything that's going on with that character, doesn't look 13 to 14 years old, it's really fucking distracting, and it brings the quality of the work down. So when you have a comic book working this way, I don't care what your marketing out is, that, oh, well, we can't have pedophiles and stuff like this. Well, no, you legally, I'm not proud that I know this, but I do, because fuck it. The Supreme Court actually had to rule that digital representation, like 3D models or drawings of child pornography, is legally okay and protected by the First Amendment, but actual child pornography is not.
Okay, that's fucked up. Okay.
Like you could make a 3D model of a 13-year-old and like show it getting fucked, and that's okay. Yeah, so like that's really fucking creepy or whatever. But so legally, DC is completely protected. Public perception-wise, anyone reads the story knows that it's supposed to be really creepy that she's 13, and anyone that knows what they're doing could explain that if it did get negative media attention. So no, there's absolutely no excuse why she should not look that way, except that the artist maybe refused to draw a sexualized 13-year-old.
Maybe.
Which gets to the bigger point about women in comics being overly sexualized, I guess. Which is what I think that character is a big commentary on, wouldn't you agree? Like the over-sexualization of women in the comics. He's gone again. God damn. I'm like going on a rant here, and I got no one to throw a life raft to, and it's a problem, people. So I don't know, people. Let's take this as a quick break for you guys to write some comments down and what you think about that whole point I was making there about the art needing to match the quality of the writing, and the vice versa in comics for it to be a good book, or at least a passable book, you know. So that's something I want to get more people's thoughts on, because it's actually been kind of in the back of my head for a while. I might do a solo video just on that, where I can actually think of an example of great story, bad art in comic books. Unfortunately, well, no, not unfortunately. I mean, usually when the story's good, the art actually does hold up. But you know, Hush is another example of great art, bad story.
You don't like Hush? Shut up.
You can get real
Nah, not anymore. It's got its moments, but no. I don't know. Dark Victory? It's not a bad story, but it's the exact same story, so it's not good.
Dark
and
Victory,
the art's really good.
Yeah, the Dark Victory, it's essentially a movie sequel. You know, it's like
Yeah.
Loeb,
But we've talked about it. We did a whole video. It's one of our earliest episodes. I don't want to get into it, but yeah, that's not a bad example though. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just you see that in comics a lot. What do you think, Milan?
I have to vote now.
You have to vote?
Yeah. Or I don't know. It closes at 5 o'clock, so I still have time. But yeah, apparently I have to vote. But yeah, fucking, I'll vote after I'm done with you. But yeah, that's fucking true. I think the art overall tends to be quite good. And sure, the whole thing with the porn star is kind of, you know, say what you will. Sure, but I don't. It didn't really bother me all that much.
It really did, because it's very distracting when they keep talking about her like she looks super young, and ultimately I feel like she just looks like most of the other female characters we see in comic books. And I don't know if you caught this or not, but do you think that like that character might be kind of a commentary on the over-sexualization of females in comics?
I suppose so, because they're always, like, I don't know, I haven't really noticed all that type of objectification recently. I mean, maybe back in the 90s, but...
Have you read New 52?
Well, that's...
We want Harley Quinn to look sexy while she commits suicide. Okay.
That was funny, dude. It wasn't that fucking... It was just her in the bathtub. It wasn't sexy. I've seen those pictures and all the variants and all the artists. It wasn't that bad. People overblow it.
It was awesome.
No, I'm just saying, like, it's just one of those things. Like, every time you see a woman in a comic book, she has to be sexualized. And I don't want to get, like, too into the whole feminist thing, but I think that, you know, that character might be a commentary on that.
Oh, sure,
especially
maybe.
If she'd been drawn the way that she was written.
So essentially...
You know, if she'd been drawn as a 13-year-old that's overly sexualized, that's weird and creepy, and, you know, we should be bothered by that.
Yeah, I guess the whole artist overlooked that and kind of undermined the artistic vision of the author.
Maybe, but I don't know. I really feel like that's either a marketing decision or the artist just refused to do it. Which, I mean, I could understand not wanting to draw a sexualized 13-year-old, certainly. But when the intent is the purpose of doing it, or when the purpose of doing it is to show why it's fucked up, then it's a good thing to do it.
Oh, definitely.
By and large, I don't know how universally that argument could be applied. It's like, it's really bad to murder people. Just to show you, I'm going to do it. But yeah, I think that's a big problem with the with just that character arc in particular. And I think it's such a big problem for me, and that I've been talking about it for so long, because I love it so much otherwise. Like, it's just like, it's when you get, a piece of cake that's delicious, but then there's like, a tiny little eggshell in it. That's the best way I could think of to describe it, because otherwise that story was so good. Yeah,
the whole teddy bear thing was fucked up. Like
that was sad. That was so sad.
It was, but in that kind of like...
Even Teddy Bear King has to die.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. But what about...
That's going to be my wallpaper.
Say, but like, I love the fact that the...
Dude, you just did the fucking Woody Woodpecker laugh. Okay.
That sounded like an old, aged Woody Woodpecker that is just accused of sexual assault. But yeah, fucking, they introduced the concept of the Dark Side Club, and it's just like Darkseid is this eyeless black man, and it's...
That was interesting. Yeah, because they pick up on that in Final Crisis. And I haven't read 52, so I don't know if that continued there.
Yeah, you should have read. There's a dude with like 3 tongues, and I'm like, that's awesome. And he has no eyes.
I've never got around to reading 52.
No, in the story, like in Volume 2.
No, I understand that. I just never got around to reading 52.
He must be like a goddamn king.
Okay. No, but I don't know if they picked up on that more in 52. I always got the impression that they did. They do pick up on the whole dark side and Granny goodness thing. Granny is a fucking therapist, and it's creepy.
Dude, that's fucked up.
Yeah, that was good shit though.
I know, it's like
everything with Darkseid was great. I love how they demonstrate the Omega Sanction, and it just made the whole fan argument for whatever happened to the Cape Crusader even more valid, in my opinion.
Oh, totally.
You've heard that, right?
Yeah.
Because, alright, for those that don't know, though, so whatever happened to the Cape Crusader came out just after Batman's death in Final Crisis, between the Batman book and the Detective comic book the next week. So, like, it was when everyone still thought Batman was dead, and Darkseid, when he quote-unquote kills Batman, says, "Are you ready to face the Omega Sanction, the life that is death," or something like that. Or no, the death that is life. Which, great fucking line. And so he shoots him with it, and in this you see what the Omega Sanction is, because it happens to Mr. Miracle, where you die, you're born again, you die, you're born again. And each time it's worse and worse and worse. And so whatever happened to the Cape Crusader is all these different versions of Batman's death. And so it actually really works, as there's this fan theory that those issues aren't actually out of canon. They're Batman's experience of the Omega Sanction, which is really fascinating, and I love it.
Yeah.
Yay. Go team.
Yeah, fucking the Darkseid, like, I love Darkseid. He's probably my favorite villain. And everyone says, New Gods are so hokey. Motherfucker, Grant Morrison takes us, like, they were never hokey to begin with. Well, some say they were,
I've got to read the Jack Kirby original New Gods stuff, because they're like the part of the DC universe I know the least about, but they're so fucking fascinating.
I know. I got myself this like beautiful fucking hardcover edition of the first volume of Jack Kirby's Fourth World series. That's the New God stuff, and it's just it's so fucking pretty. It's like I want to
go back to the very beginning and just try my best to understand them. Because I love mythology, and everything he's doing feels very, like, classic mythic, and I just gotta take the time to get into it.
You should. It's really good.
Yeah, they're just like that part of the DC universe I know jack shit about, except for, like, I know who Darkseid is, I know Highfather, I know Orion, and I know Big Barda, but I don't know what the fuck is going on with them, or like what level of power they're actually at, and all that shit. So, yeah, I really do want to read more stuff with them, but Darkseid in this is really cool. At one point, I guess my biggest problem with Darkseid is he kind of sort of feels like like an underling almost. And normally, if it was a higher power than Darkseid, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Though, you know, obviously there's no higher power. But he feels like an underling to the
Sheeta.
Camelot Destroyer. Yeah, the Sheeta. He feels like an underling to them, and that bothers me because they're just future humans.
No, the thing is, he's not an underling. He's just, he knows they're gonna fail. He's just waiting to play his hand.
Fair enough. I don't know. That kind of bothered me because obviously he's like at a weak point in this. I don't know what had happened to him previously.
Essentially, the old gods died, and they kind of latched on to newer bodies. That's why in the final crisis, like their bodies like keep aging incredibly fast because the human hosts cannot withstand the sheer godlike personas inhabiting them.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I like the look of Darkseid. I like that they made him black. That was cool. There was a lot of color in this book. A lot of diversity in this series, which was great.
Every time I see a black person, I smile. My soul just smiles. I love black people. I want to marry a black woman.
Okay. No, I just that's a nice side note. There's a lot of diversity. They make Mr. Miracle black, which is great. Because he's a character that's fine. Because, like, no one has their ideal version of Mr. Miracle, so
I know.
Why not make him a black guy?
Yeah, and, like, I'm sad there's no Big Barda. I like Big Barda. Those two are just so cute together. I mean, just Big Barda, there's this big, huge, hulking, like, and she's, like, loves him because he's all damaged, and he's, like, from a death camp prison planet, and then she's like...
I still love that episode of Justice League with Mr. Miracle when he's escaping. That is so good. Like, when Granny's sitting there, it's like, "You're not special, Scott. In fact, you're dumber than the rest of the kids. They knew to give up a long time ago, and you just now realized it." And then he, like he's crying, and he's like, "No!" And then he escapes. Oh my god, that's such a good scene.
I know. Like, it's that type of
like,
stuff.
I get that kind of, like, tear up in the back of my eye when I watch that. Just even thinking about it, I'm kind of getting it right now.
I know. It's that superhero stuff. Like, it's that overcoming the impossible odds. It's like, all rational things in this world are telling you to give up, but something intrinsic inside you in your soul just refuses to, just says no. It says fuck you to the universe itself. It says no, I will not surrender to your darkness. I will not let your filth corrupt me. And it's just that, like, the angel cannot be corrupted by the devil. It will always the intrinsic holiness will withstand the fires of apocalypse.
Mm-hmm. And just, oh man, like, and you really do get that same feel from Mr. Miracle in this book. Like, you know, you see during the Omega Sanction all the terrible things that they do to him. Like, they torture him and beat him until he's like this fucking, and they burn him alive and shit. And he's in a fucking wheelchair and paralyzed and everything, and he's trying to buy adult diapers. And they're like, you know, just out of his reach on the shelf, but he's still trying to get them. And then Darkseid comes in and just moves him up a shelf and walks out. And it's just like, that's just the most... And he still tries, though. And that's just the most, like, amazing stuff, is that character just will not give up. And that's so awesome.
It's so beautiful. I love it. Like, Mr. Miracle, I teared up, and, like, it's just like the black man's struggle, you know what I'm saying? I just want some adult diapers, motherfucker. Why do you do that to me? Jesus Christ. It's like, you just want to hug the motherfucker, like, oh, Jesus Christ, Mr. Miracle, you poor motherfucker, Jesus Christ. I love
another really cool scene, though, with Mr. Miracle, not talking about adult diapers. I love that moment when he's like first jumps into the black hole and he's like, oh no, it's gone wrong. And then all of a sudden Metron just shows up.
Yeah.
And he's like, what took you so long? And just Metron's the coolest fucking character because you never know when he's going to show up. You know, everyone talks about the Watcher in the Marvel Universe. I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. But fucking Metron's awesome.
Yeah. Metron
is just like, yo, bitches.
Yeah, every time that motherfucker shows...
I'm gonna make a fan film, and I'm gonna make a fan film with Metron in it, and it's just gonna be a fan film about Metron. It's just gonna like fucking float in sometime. And they're like, oh shit, Metron's here. Shit just got real. He's like, nah, I'm just bored.
Nah, every time that motherfucker shows up in comics, it's just like an instant mic drop, and then he picks it up and drops it again, and then does it one more time for emphasis. It's like
I think the only thing I've seen with Metron that I like more than this is the beginning of Final Crisis when he gives Man fire. That was so cool.
Dude,
it feels so Kubrick, you know?
Yeah,
it
does.
feels exactly like Kubrick. Which is just awesome. God, dude, do you know how depressed I am that Stanley Kubrick is not alive and therefore cannot make a new Gods movie?
I know, dude. Dude, you know
that would be the most amazing thing
dude.
ever.
Graphic Audio, they're an audio making company. They basically did a whole rendition of Final Crisis, and it sounds like a movie. It has all the dialogue. They've written it to flow like a movie, and the beginning part starts with that. It's so beautiful, and the voice of Metron, and like the music builds, and then it's just Metron comes like, "Do not fear, here is knowledge." And then the fire, it's like, dude, downloaded that, listened to it on YouTube, whatever. It's fucking, I cried. It was so fucking beautiful. I don't even know why I cried. It was just like, why am I...
I just am.
am.
It's that really funny scene in the book, and I'm still crying.
Yeah, it's that kind of poetic, like, modern mythology shit that you can't fully, express with words, so all you gotta do is resort to your animal noises. Like, I cannot explain this through legitimate means, so I'll just ook, ook, ook at you with my sad monkey noises. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Alright, so, Mr. Miracle, anything else you wanted to bring up with him, or...?
He's fucking badass.
Yeah, I agree.
But he has this poster in the background when he's sitting in the wheelchair all burned up.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like a pimp. He's just in the fur coat, and it's this thing, the word free etched in chains above him. It's like, that's the best poster ever.
Okay.
I really like the art and just the stand-in, other escapist. But yeah, the beginning story of Volume 1, the original Seven Soldiers, just these weird, fuck-ups. The vigilante just gets some weird ass fuck ups together to kill a giant spider, and it's just it's so awesome. It's like, hey, I was thrown around in time. I went back in time when I was younger, and I fucking beat the shit out of a giant spider with a dude, and now I'm back in that happened a couple of years ago, but it seems to be back. Want to go help me kill this giant spider? Fuck yeah, why not? It's so...
I like that he posts an ad and he asks people if they have a problem with bugs.
Yeah.
That's how you get a superhero team together. Yeah, it was really funny. And I like that it connects back to Zatanna because of the ring the one guy has that gives him dynamite powers.
I know.
The Dynamite Duo or whatever, that was so ridiculous.
They actually existed, and it's just I love that. It is so much world building potential. I just want Grant Morrison to write a DC Universe film, and it's just have it be the Seven Soldiers of Victory. Just give that motherfucker a movie. Fucking Warner Brothers.
All right, here's what we do.
Yeah.
We get Grant Morrison to write a script for a New Gods DC Universe movie.
Yeah.
And for the director, we go dig up Stanley Kubrick and Dr. Frankenstein. Here's the...
Dude, bitch, you don't need Dr. Frankenstein. You got me, bitch.
Okay.
You got me. Fuck Dr.
Honestly,
Frankenstein.
it sounds like I'm just joking, but I cannot think of anyone who could direct a New Gods movie and make it work, because it would have to be so weird. It would have to feel completely alien but beautiful at the same time, you know?
Yeah. This is new mythology. This is like, that's the thing. Yeah. I can't wait till somebody makes that superhero movie that just like, The Dark Knight is essentially noir, fiction done in movie form. I can't wait till like a Stanley Kubrick type like makes a superhero movie that wins an actual Oscar. That is so weird and good and gorgeous, that speaks to so many people, that they can't just not, like, all the fuddy-duddy motherfuckers in the Academy will have no choice but to give it an Oscar. It's just like, I want a superhero movie to be written about in fucking history books, that fucking, whatchamacallit, like, film buff nerd fucking artsy-fartsy film school brats have to fucking talk about it. Like that's when you know you've made it. When motherfuckers teach a class about you, you certainly made an impact on the world.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. The intro story, I wasn't sure because I thought that the book was going to be about the girl that we see at first. I thought she was going to be one of the 7 soldiers or something. And like immediately though, what she's talking about at the beginning sets the tone, and visually the tone is set as well, because she does that jump through the window thing, and it looks all cool and badass, and she's talking about, what it's like to be a superhero, just trust the training, muscle memory, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, there's some line to the effect of, but they never talk about the cuts and the bruises. And you just see that she's got all these little, like, cuts on her face and arms and tits, because she jumped through a fucking plate glass window. And what would happen if you jump through a plate glass window? You're not going to come out perfect on the other side. You're going to get cut the fuck up, Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
I feel like someone should be taking notes.
Yeah, dude, like, this is...
it's fine. People don't leave hate in the comments. It's a joke.
No.
But it is getting pretty ridiculous when Tony Stark can just be thrown out of a window and just be fine.
I fucking like Ghost Boy. Or the dude, like the
Mexican, like, 14-year-old. Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Who inadvertently starts the whole thing off with New Camelot or whatever, with the Sheeta or whatever they're called. All right, so yeah, that does set the tone of the universe, or the rest of the story of 7 Soldiers, is that being a superhero is not fucking glamorous. It's a bitch.
Yeah, but like, I love...
You are getting fucked up constantly. That's great.
I love the whole scene when Zatanna and her like group of sorcerers go through this like weird trippy other world, and they got an atheist scientist with them, and like they're all going through this weird trippy shit, and like the scientist is just describing in a quasi-scientific way what the fuck is going on, and like the art there is just like so trippy. It's like, fuck physics, man, just fuck physics. There's a giant...
Like, who's that down there? That's us. And then it's like, who's that up there? That's us from the past. It's like, what? Zatanna stuff. Zatanna and Bulletero are my favorite stories, like I said.
Yeah.
And I just love Zatanna stuff. Like, it was so character-driven that it was great.
Yeah. It's like, I can't help but fall in love with, like, fucking loser men. But I'm like, I want a cool, badass crime fighter dude or a fucking magician like me. Like, I don't know what to do anymore. She's just like, just make a Zatanna movie. Like, this, people say, oh, there's no strong female characters in comics. And I'm like, bitch, read comics.
Yeah, I mean, I love that scene, though. Like, it is such a woman thing to do. Like, no matter how strong the woman is, and this goes for men too, everyone wants someone to be with, right?
Yeah.
And so that scene where she's like, obviously kind of drunk in her apartment, and she goes, bring me the man of my dreams. One, it's hilarious because of the fucking little dude that shows up. She's like, what the hell does that say about my inner being? Like the fucking little guy in a jar. This shit's so funny. But it's also really, like, relatable things. Like, you had magical powers where all you had to do was say something backwards and it would suddenly be there. Yeah, you'd be tempted to try to produce someone to fall in love with, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It's this incredibly like human thing, and she's still a strong female character. She's dealing with the problems that she caused for herself, and she's just trying to live up to the legacy her father left her, and that's great. Like it was such a beautiful scene. Like it was so touching.
Yeah.
When she sees her father at the end, or toward the end rather, and she's like, "Dad, where are the books?" And he goes, "You're the book." Oh, that was so good.
Aw, I mean, I love that scene. It was just so sweet. And, like, her father was a badass. I mean, he fucking froze a giant universe-eating dragon in some dimension somewhere. It's like, oh, he fucking froze it. It's gonna eat the universe one day, but thankfully that won't happen, you know, for at least...
For a while.
For a while, yeah. Yeah.
That was great.
It's just so fucking
you know
vague.
what? I guarantee it. I promise you, that's in an old Golden Age comic where Zatar freezes a giant universe-eating monster.
Oh, of course it is.
I bet you money, real money, that's what's going on. Like, that you could find the issue where that happened in.
Of course you can, because it's fucking Grant Morrison. The motherfucker is the biggest fucking nerd. Like, it's not even nerddom. It's just chronicler. It's once it reaches this level of religious memorization, it's not nerdishness. It's just like you
Grant Morrison can quote Golden Age comic books like other people can quote the Bible.
Fuck yeah. That's fucking beautiful, dude.
I think I just found the clip, don't you?
Fuck yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So back to Zatanna though, I fucking love her character just the whole time, how she's just dealing with all this shit. Oh, that was so great. Just everything he did with her was fantastic.
Yeah.
And like I actually like that I got to read this on a computer, because I could take the frames when she says a spell into Photoshop and then do like flip horizontal so I could actually read what it was saying.
Wait, hold on, you can't read backwards?
I can't do it that easily.
Dude,
it's not just that it's backwards, it's that the letters are still facing the right direction, which throws me, you know?
No, not really. I had no problem reading backwards.
No, that's what threw me. Is like I could read backwards, but since the letters were still going in the right direction, it just I got a little bit of dyslexia, so I think that's what might be going on there. But yeah, I was able to read some of them, like the easier ones, like, you know, Taxi Appear, I was able to get without having to flip it. But every so often, when it was like some of the longer ones, I had to take it into Photoshop. No, see, I wonder, because I know they've done Zatanna a couple times in the animated series. I wonder if they've, like,
What?
if they have the actress try to actually say it backwards, or if they're smart enough to just do it with, like, have the actress...
Just play it backwards,
Yeah, just play it backwards. Because, no, not directly backwards, but have them say each individual word and then edit it backwards.
I don't know. Maybe they do that because, like, sometimes when she says it, it's a little bit too fast to be natural.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe at some points they do that. I don't know. Perhaps, who knows? But like, it's the whole. You know, the Guardian is actually one of my favorite heroes. Like when I first started getting into comics, there was this school teacher who had this giant shelf full of comics, old 90s and 80s comics, and the majority of them were like old Superman comics. And the main character, and one of the characters that kept showing up was the Guardian, and I loved the Guardian, and just every time the Guardian showed up, I was just so happy, and just seeing him here. And just him as a black person, I already like black people, so it's like this childhood hero of mine, and now he's
good for you.
Yeah, and now he's black, but then it's just you got the extra thing of like, yeah, he shot a kid, like Jesus Christ,
right?
And he just shot him point blank.
I gotta be honest. The Guardian stuff is the only stuff that like it's not bad or anything. I just didn't care.
I dug it. It was fun. Like, just some of the...
Like, it was good character stuff. Like, his whole thing about just, this is what he's meant to do, because, like, he's got, like, not a horrible life, he's got, like, all these life troubles. He has no self-confidence or anything, when he's not out doing something that's saving people. That was interesting and stuff, don't get me wrong, it's good character stuff. I don't know, as much as I like Grant Morrison taking Silver Age stuff and making it work in a modern context, there are points where I don't think that he quite gets there, and there are some of those Silver and Golden Age concepts that are just way too far out there to ever be modernized, and I think that the Guardian newspaper and character is probably one of them. Like, he tries to make it, shocking and creepy that the baby never grew up properly, and it's weird looking, but I don't know, it's still just too out there for me.
No, I disagree. I kind of like that. It was kind of tragic in a way. I mean, like, any time a person doesn't get to mature to proper size and width, and like it's so kind of like, it's just the same thing with the whole porn star. It's a similar thing, but a lot more fucking grotesque physically.
Yeah, I get that, but like, it wasn't that I had a problem with how it looked. I mean, it looked good. It was shocking in the way it was supposed to be. It was just the whole concept, the whole story, I just didn't care for by that point. I was just like, yeah, the Guardian's doing his thing. It's okay. There's like such a big gap in time between the when we last see him at the end of Trade 1 and then when we next see him in Trade 2. They really could have, not to criticize Grant Morrison's writing structure, but yeah, if you're going to do this whole team book, then I do feel like every character has to progress towards the ending climactic point at the same time. Guardian, it just feels like Guardian got put on pause while everyone else caught up.
I guess so. Maybe it's just because they put him in the trade format. I don't know, like, how is this supposed to be read?
That's a good question. Maybe the issue came out at a different time, but I can't be sure.
I don't know, maybe, but...
Because, like, seriously, that last issue of the first trade, Guardian's, like, ready to start fighting the, invading army and all that shit. And then the next trade is everyone else getting ready to start fighting this, getting, right back to square one, where the army hasn't even shown up yet. And they're just barely, or they're barely influencing anything in, like, Frankenstein's case.
Yeah. I still like Frankenstein, like, that whole thing with the weird kid with the fairy on his neck.
That was so creepy.
Yeah,
Frankenstein was good. For a second or two, I had a hard time telling whether or not his bride, had 4 arms on purpose or if it was a mistake.
What?
Like, I was wondering if it was... You know how occasionally in comics someone will supposed to be moving very fast, so they show, like, they got, like, 6 arms or whatever, but their arms just going up in, like, an arc motion. I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be, like, that going on with her and someone just did a shitty job coloring her, or if she was supposed to have 4 arms. That was weird.
Yeah, I like the forearm design. It looked kind of... It just looks good. I don't know.
I love that scene toward the end where Frankenstein's like, I need a new arm. Well, bodybuilder just died.
A bodybuilder just died. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was good. Frankenstein was cool. Like I said, Zatanna's my favorite. The idea of her having, a sorcerer's apprentice was pretty cool.
Yeah, and she's actually I'm not going to spoil it, but,
Oh, if they've gotten this far, they've read the fucking book.
She's a Shida princess.
Yeah, that was neat. I didn't quite get what was going on with that storyline, but it's okay.
It's Grant Morrison. You can't get it all in one reading. You got to reread it.
Yeah, you really can't. This does need to be read more than once, and I've only read it once, but I can tell you that just by reading it once, I need to go back and read it again. Just great shit. Who else? Who haven't we talked about yet?
Let's see. Clarion, we talked about the Shining Knight. We talked about him.
We didn't talk much about the Shining Knight. She was an interesting character. I like the whole, like, commentary on old values versus new values with her. That was fun.
Yeah, the whole virtue and knighthood and all that stuff.
Yeah, and there's, like, her story also kind of gets put on pause for a while the second volume catches up.
I love that scene where that big fucking, like, spidery fairy pimp thing just follows her around and just like we've built up... on the ashes of Camelot there rose a city of stone and perversion. You failed. You're like just this douchebag that just keeps like
yeah, the guilt monster, that was pretty cool, and I love the scene. Like it's a really good tragic scene where she kills Lancelot even though she doesn't want to, and you find out right after she did it, I was in love with him. I was like, oh my god, that's so hard. Like, that's the kind of shit that you just, like, I feel like the only reason that Grant Morrison's able to get away with consequences is because no one gives a fuck about half these characters.
Yeah, like, that's what he wrote in his introductions. Like, I loved playing with the big toys, I want to play with the little ones now. And the thing is, he essentially crafted these brand new worlds, these brand new books. Like, DC only went with one of them. Well, actually, mostly for like two of them with Clarion. For a while in the pre-New 52, Clarion was quite big. He was actually in Gotham. You know, he hanged out with like what's her name, Stephanie Brown for a while, and you know Damian Wayne and shit. But and he was fun there. He was cute. But it's like, yeah, it's just like the only one that really survived from this was Frankenstein, and that's just because he's just awesome Hellboy from DC.
Yeah. Fair enough. I don't know. I Clarion was the only character I never quite got into in this. Like Guardian, I kind of enjoyed just the character stuff. Clarion was just, nah. I have a real hard time believing that a cat is capable of loyalty. You know, you can do your whole underground society of Puritans that worship Cthulhu and have survived untouched for like 500 years. I'll go with you there. You can do a floating castle in the sky that time travels from the future. I can go with you there. But a cat that wants to help people, come on. There is a certain level of suspension of disbelief where you've just gone too far, right?
I disagree. I have a little black cat that follows me around and just loves me. Like every time I go outside, it just comes and just snuggles up against my leg. And that's
if you ever became paralyzed from the neck down in your sleep, and the cat was in the house with you, and no one else was around to like help you or anything, and it was just you and the cat, it would eat your eyes.
What?
Cats, they every time they find one of those like old cat ladies dead in their house, that once they've been there for a couple weeks, their eyes and tongue have always been eaten by the cats.
Well, that good thing I don't keep it in the fucking house, don't I? I keep that motherfucker outside. I'm like, fuck you. You were raised on the street. You were born on the street. You will die on the street.
The cat loves me. No, but there's a fun fact for everyone listening. Yeah, for everyone that's like, oh, cats are so nice. Yeah, every time they find old cat ladies dead in their houses, their eyes have been eaten.
Yeah.
So there's that.
I think that's a perfect place to end on, because I have to go vote or I'm going to go to prison.
Well, hold on. All right. We talked about Shining Knight real quick. Anyone else real quick before we wrap up?
Let's see, let me see. We talked about Guardian, we talked about Frankenstein, we talked about Bulletet, we talked about Mr. Miracle. No, I think we've talked about everyone.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's a really disorganized video, everyone, and, you know, we did the same kind of thing with Game of Thrones where we just talked about each family. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, though. I really like this fucking book. This is a really good fucking book. Alright, so, let's do a rating real quick. Milan, on a 5 scale, what are you going to give 7 Soldiers of Victory?
I give 7 Soldiers of Victory 5 out of 5 Omega effects.
Okay. Good one, by the way.
Thank you.
I will give 7 Soldiers of Victory 4 out of 5 Metron showing up like a motherfucking boss scenes.
That's awesome, bro. Metron is such a bad motherfucker.
Alright. Next week, one sec while I grab my phone so I can look at what Steve texted me.
I think it's like the reason Metron is so badass is just because he's reclining on a giant fucking throne. He's like, bitch, I have a flying throne. I don't even have to get up.
Okay, so here is our topic for next week, and I agree. Thrones do make you inherently more badass, unless they're toilets. Alright, so the topic Steve just sent me was the effect of photography on art. Do we agree with Hegel? Has art ended? So that'll be really interesting. Okay, and actually I asked Haley, since she is, a photographer, and she'll be on next week for that.
Awesome.
So, yeah. Alright, everyone, so thank you for listening. Great topic. This was so much fun to talk about. So much material here. Great fucking book.
I know.
And I'm also really glad we talked about this, Milan, because I wanted to, get a sense online of what, other YouTube reviewers think of this. One fucking guy has posted a video about this book. One fucking guy.
What does he think?
He enjoyed it, but one motherfucker. So this video is going to get fairly popular, I think. Anytime someone's going to search 7 Soldiers of Victory, they're going to find this.
Oh,
so if you're one of those people that found this and watched the whole thing, and I hope you enjoyed it, I hope you had some laughs along the way. Yeah, great episode, Milan. Great choice. Thank you very much. Everyone, thank you for listening. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
And I am the Madman.
And we are your geeky gentlemen. And we will be discussing things.